Hello, Catherine here. In our Introduction to CICA video, we explained that Parliament has set the rules that CICA work by when deciding who is eligible for compensation. Let's look at the eligibility criteria in a bit more detail. Have you reported the incident causing the injuries to the police? To be considered for compensation, you must have reported the incident that caused your injuries to the police. CICA expect you to have reported the incident to the police as soon as reasonably practicable, which usually means immediately after the incident. However, if you are not able to report the incident straight away, they will take the circumstances of your case into account when considering your claim. For example, they will consider if you were perhaps too young to report the incident yourself, or whether the effects of your injuries meant you could not make a full report straight away. Have you cooperated with the police investigation and the criminal justice process? It is important that, wherever possible, you have fully cooperated with the police and the criminal justice system in trying to identify the suspect and bring them to justice. The person who injured you does not need to have been identified or convicted in order for you to get compensation. Also, CICA will not pay an award of compensation if there is any risk that the assailant could benefit from this in any way. How long do you have to apply for the scheme? To be eligible for compensation, you need to have applied as soon as it is reasonably practicable to do so. If you're an adult at the time of the incident, this normally means that you need to apply within 2 years of the date of the incident. However, claims for sexual abuse and more complex crimes can be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. If you are under 18 at the time of the incident, a parent or guardian can apply on your behalf, provided that it's been reported to the police. If the incident or period of abuse was reported to the police before you turned 18, but no one made a claim on your behalf, you can claim up until the date of your 20th birthday. If the incident or period of abuse took place before you turned 18, but was not reported to the police at the time, you can apply to CICA within 2 years of reporting to the police. There are some key dates to bear in mind. CICA cannot pay compensation if the injury was sustained before the 1st of August 1964. The injury happened before the 1st of October 1979, and the injured person and assailant were living together as members of the same family. We recognise that these restrictions can disadvantage people claiming for historical incidents, and we are now lobbying the government to try and change this. Should you wait until your court case is finished before applying? In some cases, you may be advised against claiming for compensation before your court date is finished. This is because some defence lawyers may use the fact that you are claiming compensation as a way of discrediting you as a witness. This should not be the case. Every victim has the right to apply for compensation under the Victims' Code of Practice, but unfortunately, it can sometimes happen. The difficulty is that court procedures, particularly when it comes to more complex cases, can sometimes take longer than 2 years, which is CICA's time limit for applying. Now, it is entirely up to you whether you choose to wait until after your court case to apply, but it is important for you to be aware that CICA may not be able to award you any compensation if you apply outside of the 2 years. If you're able to provide satisfactory evidence that you're advised to delay by members of the criminal justice system, the police for example, CICA may reconsider, but that is by no means guaranteed. Do you meet the nationality and residency criteria? In order to be considered for compensation, you either need to be a British citizen or meet one of the other nationality and residency requirements of the scheme. If you think this could apply to you, please read CICA's guide to this criteria on their website. Were you injured in England, Scotland or Wales? If you were injured as a result of violent crime in England, Scotland or Wales and meet the other eligibility criteria, CICA may be able to award you some compensation. Northern Ireland has its own separate scheme. Unfortunately, CICA cannot pay compensation to people who have been injured outside of Great Britain. However, the country where the incident took place may have a similar scheme, and you can find more information about this by visiting the gov.uk website. If you were injured outside of the UK in a terrorist attack, you may be able to claim under the Victims of Overseas Terrorism Compensation Scheme. Do you have any unspent convictions? CICA may reduce or refuse an award if you have a criminal record. They will take into account any unspent convictions when you make your application and before they make their final decision. For more information about how any reductions may be calculated, visit the CICA's website, where they have a guide. Eligibility. So let's have a think about whether you might be eligible to apply. Ask yourself these questions. Have I reported the incident causing the injuries to the police and cooperated with the investigation and criminal justice process? Will I be able to apply within the time limits of the scheme? Do I meet the nationality or residency requirements? Was I injured in England, Scotland or Wales? Do I have any unspent convictions? And finally, could the assailant benefit from an award in any way? We hope this has helped you start thinking about whether you might be eligible to apply for compensation. Just remember, an award is not guaranteed if you do decide to apply.